Okay, let me start first by saying hi, guys. You all look awesome. I wish I grew up in where technology is everywhere. Like where I grew up, I'm a village boy. Ne? Where I grew up, there was nothing besides you waking up in the morning, go trying to find like something to do in the village. When you guys wake up, there's WhatsApp, there's Instagram, there's a whole lot of things to do. So when I grew up, I loved music so much. I'm not even sure which age, but since I was born, I used to love music. So the only way for me to go and learn music was through church. Why church? Because only the church has the instruments. Do you understand? So that was the only church could afford to go buy drums, keyboards, guitars, and whatnot. So that time, you didn't have any choice but to join the church and try and learn a certain instrument. So there was no choice at all. So I used to love keyboard. When I see someone plays keyboard, I used to stay there and watch that guy, and bear in mind that when it's too late, like 4 o'clock, late thingy, you must just rush back home because otherwise. And then it started there. That's when I developed this thing called house music, the love of house music, Yeah. Yeah, like I said, it wasn't easy, and I remember I had to skip. Actually, I had to run somewhere to go play at this wedding. They didn't have someone to play keyboard at that wedding, so I had to go play at that wedding the whole day. And then my mom and my father didn't know where I was. And remember, those times, no cell phones, no nothing. You understand? So someone told them.
He's really old.
Yeah. You can see him. Yeah. What I tell. So my family had to go and look around. They found me somewhere in church playing at this reception for this wedding and whatnot. They had to pull me out while I was still playing. Can you imagine? Then from there, from the stage to the car, maybe I had 10 slaps, everywhere. So today I'm here sitting with you guys, and like I wish I was like this age, young as you guys, to just start to pump everything, because there's whole lots of opportunities.
I'm still young like you guys.
Do
you want to tell them how you started?
Yeah, sure. Okay, well, my story is kind of, I was 4 or 5 years old, and
still 4.
And the first place actually where I heard a trumpet sound was from my dad, because he used to play for Manga Groove. I'm not sure if you guys Manga Groove, and they were also like huge around the whole world. So from the first show where I heard the trumpet sound, and I was like, yo, that's beautiful, guys. And I was like, that's my thing, and I never looked back till today. And so now a new thing started with me, where now there was only one trumpet in the house, and there was like a small little cornet also there. And I wasn't allowed to touch my dad's trumpet. So now the naughtiness started, where every day, like, after school, or,
when they're not there.
Yeah, and then I would go, like, open up this case, and that brand new smell, type of thing will, first hit you, and then you're like, hey, before you even touch it, you're like, hey, And I actually just used to take the trumpet and would blow anything, like blah, 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 just anything, So it took about 3 or 4 days for my mom to pass me for messing around with the trumpet, because as they would leave the house, of course, I would take it. So on the way back home, always like when they're at the gate or something, then my mom would be like, hey, like, I hear the trumpet. And my dad's like, nah, that's not the trumpet. But he knew it was a trumpet. He knew I was going to get beaten up. So, okay, day 2 again. Hey, that's the trumpet sound. Like, no. Day 3, my mom didn't ask my dad. And then she just went straight into the house. And like, I got hit so bad. And I was told that, listen, how's your dad supposed to go to work if you're messing around with the trumpet. If you drop this, he can't go and work, of course, you know. And all I was thinking there, I was like, only if you knew how much I love this instrument. And she's hit me for something that I love, you know, like she never understood. And I would always think my dad understands because he wanted me to obviously grow with the instrument. And yeah, and then that's what happened then, and that's how the whole thing took off. And then now my dad started like teaching me properly and stuff, and then he got me my own trumpet, like a student model, of course. And then now I was like allowed to touch. I still wasn't allowed to touch his trumpet, but I had my own now, and they were teaching me and stuff. And then they sent me to reading school and stuff, and I only went as far as grade 2, because I was like, I hate reading. But I wasn't saying that you guys must not read and stuff, you know. but I was like, I hate reading, you know, and like we play by ear, like the whole group here, we all play by ear. Like no one really went to school for that. So, yeah, and then from there, that's what happened then. And that's where the trumpet took off, you know. And I just carried on and carried on and carried on, and then like until we met, you know. And until I met this guy and this guy. Yeah. So yeah, but it's been great, and it's been a long journey. And like I've always also like, we're the type of guys also at the same time that have always known what we've like wanted, and we always achieve what we like plan to get, of course, like the goals and stuff. We always set goals and we make sure that we get them. And like I think that's what's also keeping me Casa like still together even today, you know, because we're 5 years old at the end of this year, eh? So yeah, that's it, man. So that's it. And also to mention that my brother actually is the reason why I got to meet Dr. Duda and Jay something, because there's a time when I'd actually given up about life, and I was like, you know what, this whole Joburg rush and everything has gotten to me. You know when you're Mr. Cool sometimes, you're driving your brother's car, but it's not yours, but people think it's your car. And then, you know, then like comes a time when the money all starts fading away, or the person that's been like borrowing that money stops like giving you the cash, and then like, no, like make your own plan now. Then like life went back to where it started. And I was like, okay, cool, let me go stay in Pretoria. Trying to shut down the whole world and stuff, which is Joburg and stuff, because that was my whole world, just Joburg. And from there, yeah, that's when I received a call from my brother. He's like, yeah, come to Joburg, come meet these guys, come meet Dr. Duda actually, because I never knew that Jay Something was also going to be there. And
it was in the first magazine.
for change, yes. Yeah.
Basically, I gave them a job.
Yeah. Yeah, so he was actually booked. He was actually booked to come play for Olasete. It was a Soul Candy party. And from there, and then I also rocked up, and then Jay also rocked up. And it was, well, from my side, it was from my brother. And I was actually saying, no, you know? And he was like, just come. And I'm like, hey, man, you always call me for these free things, and go play with that DJ, go play with that person and stuff. But I never see the money. Or are you charging my money? Like, are they paying you? And then you're not telling me that like, they're paying you, you know? He's like, no, man, just come. And then, yeah, and then I was like, okay, cool. And then I went, you know, he actually forced me. So when the whole thing started, and I only had like, about $30 in my pocket. So, and I was like, hey, man, this was like food for my supper. Now, I must pour 30 Rand petrol. You know, I was like, just pour that petrol. And trust me, guys, I got you all to Santon from Pretoria with $30. And he was like, yeah, you got you, and I'll give you money to go back. But I'm just happy that you came here to meet the guys, you know. And that's the day that the group started, without us knowing that that's me, Casa. We never even had a name. We're just like jamming all the time. And yeah, it was a lesson to me also at the same time, that when someone comes to you and when they want to tell you to go do something, or like go do this, go meet that person, like don't have stories, or don't have this whole thing like, hey, I've got no money, or I only have $30, because my career only started with like 30 Rand, you know, and that 30 Rand got turned into so many things, you know, like
Stick at 30,
like
000.
yes, something like that, yeah. But like that's changed all our lives here, you know. And also to Dr. Duda, because I mean, the first time that we ever played and some of the gigs where Mikasa was not known, where we were not even Mikasa like yet, no one actually wanted to book Mikasa because no one knew Mikasa, you see. And they would book, he would get booked for his gigs, and then they were like, okay, cool, like, yeah, like, we'll pay. And then he was like, hey, but I got these two guys and stuff, and myself, of course, we forming this thing called Casa. Can these guys come play? You know, can they also play for 20 minutes? Then, yeah, promoter would say, yeah, cool, like, let's try them out. But we don't have money to pay those guys. We only have money to pay you as Dr. Duda, you know, because they had only book him. And he would actually share his money with us. So, yeah. So that's like one thing that we'll never forget. Yeah, I actually think when Casa was booked for money for the first time, we shared like what, $300? Yeah. So we actually shared $100, $100. That's our first gig that we ever had, where we actually paid for the first time, and they're like, no, we can only pay $300 for these guys, and that's how it started, you know. And we're still going strong today, you know. Yeah. Yeah.
I started music by absolute chance with that story. Music was never my plan. It was a dream that I never ever thought it would be possible. When I was 6 years old, I saw Michael Jackson on TV for the first time, and I saw him make people faint. That was really that was a perception I had of Michael Jackson, and I thought, man, if only I could have this type of power. So all my life, growing up at school, I always wanted to be powerful. I always wanted to be a leader. Sorry?
Your evil plot.
No, not evil. Not evil plot. Power is a good thing. Power is not always evil. Most power is actually good. I think the world has just given us that perception that people in power are bad because they do stuff up positions of power. So power is actually a great thing, you know. If you believe in God, God is power, you know. So God, that's where power comes from, and God is good, if you believe in God. Which I do. So then when I was 16, I went to church for the very first time. I was invited by chance. I was at a boarding school in Grahamstown, and I was out with a girl in the school yard or whatever it was. And this girl, me and her were smoking together, and we were chatting and whatever it was. And I got a call from this guy who said, hey, you know, why don't you come to church? And I was like, what? And at that time, I was 16 years old. I was playing first team rugby, first team cricket. I was popular. I was also, you know, like standard 8s. I was in the first team rugby team. I was touring with the first team rugby team. So I was kind of like a cool kid at school because I was doing all the cool things. And I told the guy no. And then eventually I went to church maybe like two weekends later because the guy kept pestering me, and I thought, okay, let me go. Because it was a cool church service, because it was at the sister school. So all the chicks were there. And I thought, you know, what a better way to go to church. So I went to church, and when I got to church, there was this lady who was a guest speaker, and they called her a prophetess. I don't know if you've ever heard of this. Prophetess. So I asked the guys, oh, what is this prophetess? And they told me, basically, and this is literally what they told me, basically, this is a fortune teller for Christian people. She kind of knows what's going to happen. I thought, okay, mad people, crazy, weirdos. So I went to church, and there was about 4,000 people. It was a huge church. It was at this girls' school, and I sat in the middle with all my mates and kind of just trying to hide as much as I could. And I was just, kind of just looking around and doing what one does in church. And then this lady started talking, and she started speaking, and then she looked at me. Like, I kid you not, man. I've got this actually on aux tape. And she stopped her whole speech, whatever she was saying, and she pointed out at me, and she said, I have something to tell you. And I was convinced she wasn't talking to me. Like, I was just like, you know that moment where you're just like, that's sort of and then she said, no, you. And she asked me to come up, and I'm like, oh my God, why? Like, the first day that I choose to go to church, and this lady calls me up in front of all the chicks, you know what I mean? So I was like, yeah. So anyway, I went up, and I sat on a chair like this, and she started praying for me, and this is the first time anyone's ever prayed for me, and I'm just thinking, what the hell is going on? And what am I doing here? And then she started saying, God wants to use you in music. And I was like, what? And at that time, music, I had played guitar when I was 11 for about 6 months, and I'd given it up. And now I was 16, I'd forgotten about music completely. I used to listen to house music. I used to listen to a lot of Duda songs when I was at school, you know? But and when she said, no, you play music, and I'm like, and I thought, at that moment, I thought, I've got this lady, she's a con artist. And I told her, no, I don't do music, I told you've got the wrong person. And she was like, no, you really do play music. And she said, think back. And then I started to get freaked out because I remembered that I used to play guitar. And I said, yeah, I used to play guitar when I was 11. She said, exactly, God wants to use you to play guitar. And I thought, okay, cool. And she spoke a whole bunch of other things and how I'm going to be. I've got this all on tape, so it freaks me out every time that I listen to it because it was really prophetic. And she said, how I'm going to change the world with music and whatever it was. And then my life carried on. A couple months later, I asked my mom, my mom was a single mother. She used to work at a restaurant, and I asked her to buy me a guitar. She used her tip money. She bought me a second-hand guitar. And I started jamming guitar and I started writing music, and then I started playing for people in my hostel, and they were like, oh my God, dude, you are amazing. And I was like, what, really? And then I started jamming, and then I started jamming at the girls' school, and I started to get, and it started to become a vibe. And then I wanted to become a musician when I was done. When I was done with school, I knew I want to be famous. But I wanted to be famous not for the fame's sake. We often say this as me, Casa, and you'll learn more about us as we go, because I think it's very important. Because I wanted to be famous because I wanted to be powerful. I wanted to have a voice, because at that time I was now full into church and I was on fire for Jesus, and I just wanted to be a good person, and I wanted to change people. And I started writing music, and then when I was done with school, I told my mom, I actually wanted to go to EFTA, because the only, also in the Eastern Cape, I didn't really have a computer or anything. I was just asking people around, where can I go? And she said, absolutely not. And she didn't trust music at all. And I thank God for that day that she said no to me to go study music. So I decided, okay, if I'm gonna go to varsity, I'm a creative person. I wanna do something creative. I wanna do something that I can come up with things. So I went to Stellenbosch University because I wanted to get away. I took out a student loan, and I made my way to Stellenbosch, and I started doing really well. And then I was actually quite a dumb kid at school. I was supposed to fail standard 6, but they pushed me through because too many people failed standard 6. And I just made it because I was kind of the top of the dumb oaks, as they would refer us to, but I was just really lazy. And then at varsity, I got straight A's. I did really well because I put my heart into it, and I thought, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it really well. And then I got a taste of music in first year because I got invited I went back home to Portugal, and I started playing guitar for my brother, and my brother thought, let's create a tour, let's create a CD. And we started to do these little impromptu shows around Portugal. And people were like, they were clapping, and they were like, going, very like minimal, like a crowd like you guys. And I thought I was famous, I was like, yeah, this is amazing. And then I'd finished my degree, and then I went back home, and I had no plan. I thought I was just gonna work in the marketing field and do whatever it is. And then kind of like the breakthrough moment, and I think the lesson that's always been in my life. One of my favorite quotes is by Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan said that every shot that he didn't take was a missed opportunity. Now, if you think as a baller, like every shot that you don't take is when you have the ball in your hand. When the ball's out of your hand, you've taken your shot. And that's been key to our success, is that we've taken most opportunities that come our way, and we've not thought too much about them. We've just gone kind of like full, all guns blazing to it. So I had an opportunity where my second, third cousin lived in Joburg, and he said, listen, come to Joburg, let's try and make a plan. And I didn't know what the hell I was going to do. I'd never been to Joburg. And he kept pestering me about it, and I thought, okay, let me go for it. And I got here, started living in this guy's house for a couple of months, had no money, had nothing to do, but he was, he gave me the privilege of being able to stay in his house. I started cooking breakfast for him. I started doing whatever I could do to kind of make up for the rent that I wasn't paying. And then I was invited to that party by him. I rocked up at the party. I saw this DJ, and I saw this guy playing trumpet. I didn't know them from a bar of soap. My cousin that was looking after me obviously knew that I could sing and that I could play guitar. He said, hey man, why don't you go ask them if you could sing? I didn't even know who Soul Candy was at the time, And I went up to Duda. I had a hoodie on, and I had my hoodie on because I am quite a shy guy. And I went to him and I said, listen, do you mind if I can join you? Because I thought it was like a jam session, and I was having a brave moment. And then we started jamming, and then we started singing a whole bunch of different songs. And then after the show, people were like, oh my God, you guys are amazing. And we had chicks coming, and we had all these things happening. And I was like, man, this is amazing. This is what I've always dreamt of. Yeah. And at the end, it was actually funny, because I'll never forget that day. People coming to ask for photos and coming to say, can we buy the album? Where can we get it? I was like, what? I don't even know these guys, man. But we took photos. 3 months after that, I kept bothering them, saying, I think we've got something special. Let's try and make a song. I'd never written or recorded a song at that stage, but I knew that we could do something because I had heard about him afterwards. And 3 months later, we got into the studio, and then I think that's where the magic happened. I think that's where something that, literally, I think just magic happened when three things just came together, and it just clicked, it just worked. And it was a moment where we just took a chance, and we started recording music, and then we did These Streets, and then These Streets, and then now we're here, and it's been such a dream come true. Yeah, that's my favorite song. We to this day cannot believe that we get opportunities that we get, and we cannot believe that even this moment right now to tell you our story, it's kind of like bizarre, man. We don't feel like celebrities. We don't act like celebrities. We don't feel more important than anyone else. We actually feel really privileged to be able to do what we love every day. It's amazing that we get onto a stage and people ask us for photos. It still freaks us out 5 years down the line that somebody would walk like you guys would walk and go like, oh my gosh, it's there. Like it does not make sense because we feel that it's such a blessing to be able to do what we love. We've played, both our albums have gone double platinum. We are one of the top selling acts that South Africa's ever had. We've won multiple awards, local, continental and international. We've had the privilege, as the sir said, that we went to America. We're invited by Barack Obama himself to go and play at his inauguration, which was nuts. We're working on our first live DVD, which we're trying to do something really crazy. We've really achieved a lot of things, and we count them as, we're going to Europe and North America now for 2 months, and it's all a dream. It's like more than a dream come true. And I think the lesson we've learned is just to kind of be really grateful to all the opportunities we've gotten and to always stay very grounded.